So Reworks come along for Norsca, the High Elves, and Slaanesh a little bit, alongside the Tides of Torment DLC. Let's have a look. Starting off with Wulfric, who is currently by Norsca, but this isn't his starting position. He actually starts down here, I think somewhere around this coast. And if you take anything down here, you will be met with a dilemma to either give up Troll Fjord in exchange for some money and such. So you can either keep your stuff in Norsca as a home base or just completely migrate somewhere else. So that's pretty cool first of all. Now, Wulfric's unique mechanic just for him is Seafang, of course, his ship that can travel all over the world. And down in the bottom left, you'll find this little button that will allow you to travel anywhere in the world, provided that you've discovered a port settlement there. And so when you hit the button for this, you'll get a map of all the port settlements in the world that you have discovered in one way or another, and you will be able to travel to any of them in a mere turn, provided there's no enemies nearby. So as you can see, we've got some in Lustria where we started, haven't got any anywhere else, but you do get this little dilemma pop up where you can choose one of these to reveal some port settlements somewhere in the world. So essentially just giving you some new fast travel locations, somewhere you haven't been. Now, let's say we do this Sea of Chill one, which actually turns out to be completely pointless because it's just over the road from Norsca. So, don't do that one. But, hey, we chose it. Let's go over there. If we select that one to go to, you can see it says it'll take us, in this case, 14 turns before we can do this again. Now, it's not always that long. It started off at 4 turns, but because I've used it quite a bit in a short space of time, it's now 14 turns. So there is a bit of a limit. You can't go mad whizzing all over the world. But as you can see, it's also brought the second army that was nearby Wulfric. So any armies that are nearby with Wulfric when he travels will come with him. So you can bring a massive force and just go and invade somebody's land. Not looking forward to Wulfric doing that to me, though, if he does that. But alongside this update also comes the ability to attack from the sea, which means you don't have to go on land to be able to attack port settlements. As you can see here, Wulfric is attacking, but Seafang is still in the ocean. And what's cool is that not only he can do this, anyone who should be able to do this in this game, in this universe, can do this. The Vampire Coast, Black Arcs, Lockyer, Aislan, his dragon ships, and even Alberic de Bordelot. Although weirdly, it does seem reinforcing armies have to go on land, which seems more like a bug than a feature. But yeah, very cool that all these different Sea Lords can do a kind of hit and run tactic of just hitting a settlement and then buggering off before the enemy can react. And then some changes to the allegiance system, so when you take a settlement, you can turn it into an altar of the crow, serpent, hound, or eagle. Largely, this works the same, where the more of them you build, the more you'll go up the ranks. You do need to hold on to them, though. If they get taken out, you are going to potentially go down the ranks. But you can pause and see what the rewards are like if you wish. Before, though, I think it was just like some experience, some income, some weapon strength, and a unique lord. Now you get all this other stuff: regeneration, replenishment, physical resistance, access to Chaos God units. So when you go ahead and choose an altar, let's go for the Hound. You will get some spoils from this. We'll talk about that in a second. That's a new mechanic. But let's raise this altar and we'll see a nice little Houndy monument appear. I think that's the same. And this isn't just a monument that causes chaos, corruption and stuff. It actually has building slots now, so we can get some use out of it. But this one being a port settlement, we can get a little bit of income and such. There's also the option of a garrison building or a recruitment building, so we can get some of the units that are aligned with the god we chose. In this case, I could get a couple of corn units, only a limited amount, but still pretty cool that you can get those different units now. So yeah, cool that you can make these into little settlements. They have a little more reason to try and get them and hold on to them, other than just building up your allegiances, but overall, nice changes there, I think. So when you attack a settlement, raising an altar is one option, but another one is taking the settlement for yourself, of course, which is going to cost you some spoils if it's outside Norsca. And spoils is a new currency that you're going to get mostly from pillaging and raising. And when you pillage and raise a settlement, you will get pillaged spoils. Now, this is the same as the regular spoils currency. It's just kind of not in the bank yet, and thus we can potentially lose it. So if we do this option, you'll see a little army has been formed up. My 2 that I brought are over on the left, but then this new little one is just a little random army that's been made, and as you can see above it, it has 894 spoils, but only on this army. It's not actually in the bank yet. So to get it up here, to add on to this 3,000, I have to get it back to one of my settlements, an actual settlement. The altar doesn't count. Now I could take a settlement over here and use that, but let's say I'm just going to come back over here to Troll Fjord and I'm going to sail it home. And a few turns on, I'm going to be able to bring it home and we're going to get those spoils go into the bank. We're now at 4,000. That little army disappears and all is well. So there's a risk there that if that army got attacked and wiped out, we would lose the spoils, but in this case, we made it. And as you can see there's a few other means to get spoils, so not just that, but mostly it's going to be the pillaging. But what are the benefits of spoils outside of taking settlements? You've got these new building trees that allow you to recruit units a bit earlier, so I could spend some spoils to get this building, which will allow me to recruit all 4 of these units, which are the same units on this side of the tree. These 4, so these tier 4 units I'd have to wait till I'm tier 4 to get, but if I buy this little tree, I can get them a bit earlier. And the same thing here with tier 4 to 5 units, I can only get the Frostworm at tier 5, so I'd have to wait to tier 5, but with this, spend a little spoils, I can get that Frostworm a fair bit earlier. So yeah, nice to be able to get a hold of some of your stronger units earlier in a campaign. Another use, you now have these marauding actions on your provinces. You see these little buttons here. They offer different bonuses. This one costs 100 spoils. It's going to depend on the altars you've got in the area. You can get some buffs there. This one actually costs you control. So if you've got pretty high control or public order, you can spend it to get some monetary gains here. And then the final one also costs spoils, but it's a bit more defensive. If somebody's attacking some of your regions, you can drop this. Going to debuff their armies in various pretty handy ways. So that's really nice to have those options. And then we've got the Monstrous Arcanum, which has had a little bit of love as well. So we got a bunch of different kinds of hunts now. You can read about them here. Pause the video if you wish. Otherwise, you've got glory hunts. These are like the old ones. They're a one-time battle. You'll get a unique regiment of renowned monster out of it, as well as a bunch of other stuff. And then you have taming hunts. These are repeatable quests that allow you to get monsters from different factions. They're kind of in 2 stages as well, so you can get certain rewards for doing stage 1, and then you'll get the monster at stage 2. And like I say, they're repeatable, so if you want to get 5 toad dragons, you can do that. But some of them are in different climates, so you might have to go to different parts of the world. And then we have trophy hunts, which I haven't done for myself yet, but from the description, they're very similar to glory hunts. You just get items at the end instead of monsters, assumedly pretty strong items. And then if you can get a bunch of all of that done, you get Supreme Hunter, which will give you this buff down here, giving you a whole bunch of buffs to your monstery units. So yeah, overall, a lot more to do in the Monstrous Arcanum to keep you busy. As you can see here, you pick one you want to do, you choose the army you want to do it with, and then you'll have locations around the map. You'll have to go there, see what happens. You might find the monster there, or you might have to go somewhere else. So it's a fair bit of traveling around. Obviously, for Wulfric, it's going to be no problem with Seafang, but maybe for Throg, it might be a bit more of a ball ache. But yeah, on your armies, you'll have this Monstrous Arcanum tab where you can get all of those different monsters. You have the limits. You can only get like 5 of them. That's the ones from the repeatable quests, of course. And then you've got the Regiments of Renown ones in the separate Regiment of Renown tab, as we did before. So yeah, very cool changes overall, I think. So that's most of the big changes for Norsca. Wulfric, of course, got some love in his skill points, as did Throg, I'm sure. I can't remember exactly what's changed, but you can see things here. I feel like this may be new Executor. Maybe that wasn't on Eternal Challenger before. I haven't played Wulfric for a while. You've also got a new tech tree as well with 3 different tabs. This one all about the different units. This one more about the campaign and the economy and such. And then this last one, the Conquest tab, you can gain buffs from fighting certain factions once you've fought them a certain amount. And again, this is something that'll maybe benefit Wulfric a little bit more because he can travel around a bit easier, but Throg's not going to care about that because he's got his own unique mechanic as well. Obviously, he doesn't have Seafang to fast travel around the world, but he has Trollkind. Now, if you notice on himself and all his trolley units, there's this little green banner, the Trollkind banner, and what this is showing is that these units are generating this new currency, Trollkind. So you can get this from simply having troll units in your army and other things, but mostly just from using those trolls. And this currency will be used, amongst other things, to build your Troll Kingdom buildings, such as the Troll Cave, which you'll want to upgrade to a layer because it gives you the Troll King's Dominion. It gives you it in increasing amounts through the buildings, up to +10. And what's this going to do for you, I hear you cry? Well, it's all going to relate to calling the monstrous horde. And the more Troll King's Dominion you have, the bigger a horde you can call. So you see from the buildings I have so far, I've only got 8 of 20. If I want to get to this tier 2, I need to get more of it, and then more and more up through tier 3, 4, 5. And as you can read, it allows me to get a bigger monstrous horde. It went from +6, +9, +12, all the way up to +16, as well as a bunch of other buffs allowing me to get more troll units. And the way this works is something like a Greenskins War. So let's say I want to make some moves to attack Cracker Drek over here, but I need some more manpower, or troll power. So I'm going to call the monstrous horde. I'm going to choose which army I want it on. It is going to cost Trollkind to do this. So we're going to chuck it on Throg, perform that action, and the monstrous horde will be called. And now Throg will have an extra tab in his army in the same way that the Greenskins get a war. And you can see I've got 3 random monstrous units. It's a combination of monsters and trolls, so you might get something different, like a Chimera here. But yeah, overall, that's a pretty fun little mechanic to get a kind of war for Throg of different monsters and trolls. And of course, the more you upgrade it, the bigger that's going to be and the more dangerous. You do get pop-ups as well to get different troll units, to get trolls that Throg normally wouldn't have access to, like like Bile Trolls, Stone Trolls, that's Greenskin Trolls, and Nurgle Trolls, and Chaos Armor Trolls and stuff like that. So you can get all the trolls that Norsca normally wouldn't have access to in your regular army as well. Not part of the monstrous horde, just your regular army, you can get those in there. So that's pretty nice as well, to really be the Troll King. So that's Throg's unique mechanic, and he's got all the same changes as Wulfric as well. He's got the Pillaging, the Monstrous Arcanum, etc. Just doesn't have the Sea Fang ability, obviously, because that's unique to Wulfric. But overall, feeling like some great changes to Norsca that should make them a little more interesting to play. Next up, the old High Elf boys, Tyrion and Teclis, the original Warhammer 2 lords. They've both got updated unique mechanics, and the High Elves have got some new mechanics in general. So, Tyrion's unique mechanic, Champion of Ulthuan. This is kind of similar to Karl Franz's Electoral Machinations. You get these different campaign and army buffs that you can choose to put on armies or locations or whatever. It's going to cost you influence to be able to perform them. So this gives Tyrion some pretty powerful actions he can perform if you can find the right opportunity to use them. Some of them are just generally good whenever, like gaining character experience, but some might be useful in certain situations if you've got a certain problem. And some of the higher tier ones are pretty powerful, like this one, target army is loaned to you and teleported to Tyrion's location. So if you suddenly need some help, you can force another High Elf army to help you essentially. Or this one, restoring movement range, so double movement range on a turn is always pretty powerful. Does cost quite a lot of influence though. And that's all just from the Air tab. There's also this Alliances tab, so if you have any kind of alliance with certain factions, you can gain certain buffs from them, or if you confederate them. Some of them, again, are a little bit niche in their usage, and I guess if a faction gets destroyed, you can't get them anymore. Not entirely sure, though. But again, just some powerful options at Tyrion's disposal. And as it's all paid for with influence, I think influence is a little bit easier to acquire now. You can get it through winning battles, which I don't think you did before. But, you know, how would I know? I've never played elves once. So that's Tyrion's unique mechanic. For all High Elves, you still have intrigue at the court as usual, but you also now have Patrons of the Realm. So this is a new political system. Sort of reminds me of the Chaos Dwarfs political system. So you have these different seats all across Ulthuan that can be gained by different High Elf factions, and they offer different buffs. So you can choose to try and take control of whichever ones interest you. As Tyrion, you do start with the one in Lothern, of course. Some slots are locked out though if a High Elf faction doesn't control the region. So like this one, it's got Slaanesh, so you'd have to go over and deal with that, or wait for someone else to go over and deal with that and take it, as long as they're a High Elf faction. You can also upgrade the patronage at the expense of influence. This will give you greater rewards and greater buffs through the 3 levels and improve your standing with the Phoenix King. And the more you do that, the more seats you'll be able to obtain. As you can see from this bar down here, so you got to make the Phoenix King love you. You can piss him off if you sack and raise other High Elf settlements. Maybe just in Ulthuan, but maybe everywhere, I don't know. But you can piss him off, and there will be downsides, of course. Now, obviously, if a seat is already controlled by somebody, you're going to be usurping them and taking it off them, and they can do the same thing to you, potentially. And you'll either need to use influence to stop that, or engage them in intrigue. And you can see here, actually, it's the Citadel of Dusk that's doing this. It's not even a faction that's in Ulthuan. They're down the bottom of Lustria. So any High Elf faction can make a play for these seats, it seems. But if we go for the Engage in Intrigue option, you can see it's not too bad to try and sort this out. It might cost you a little bit of influence, but you could opt to gain some influence instead and just give up the position. If it's a seat maybe you don't really want anymore, that might be fine. But I'm not sure if this situation is what you get every time, because you can see if I do this one, it costs me minus 30 influence, which is much better than the 100 I would have had to pay otherwise, and only for 3 turns of minus 3 control. Not that big of a deal. So that's the Patrons of the Realm system. There's also the Court Unity tab in this as well. This is basically a way for you to confederate the other High Elf lords, even if they're dead and have been killed off. So you can still get the legendary lords. So for example, if you wanted Imric, you'd have to take Calador and Tiranoc and get those both to tier 3 patronage. So that's these two on the map. You can see them lighting up, these two. So all you need to do is take those 2 seats, level them both up to tier 3 patronage, which isn't necessarily quick or easy. And you need level 5 with the Phoenix King. You can see I'm only like level 3 at the moment. But yeah, very cool to have the option to be able to confederate those dead lords, especially Imric and Teclis, as those two very often get killed off. So yeah, a nice system to be able to get those legendary lords that you may miss out on otherwise. And this is for all High Elf factions, not just Tyrion and Teclis. So something fresh for all you High Elf weird guys. And then again, usual stuff, upgrades to skill points for both Tyrion and Teclis. New tech tree as well, broken up into the tab system that they seem to be going for with everyone now, which is fine. It works, makes it a little bit clearer. And what about Teclis then? What's actually new with him? Well, first of all, once you take out your first enemy, you are now met with a dilemma to get the hell out of there and leave the Southlands area before Kairos or Wurzag comes and ruins your life. So you get the option to confederate with Safari, who are back on Ulthuan, teleport over there while still keeping the settlements you've got over here, or you can take the confederation with Safari, so get some land on Ulthuan but keep Teclis over here, or you can just ignore the whole thing and get some nice currencies instead. But let's say we take the Confederation and the teleport, we can now be over here on Ulthuan, and if you want to, you can make a play for controlling Ulthuan, like the other 3 main High Elf factions over here. So yeah, that's a pretty nice option for all you Teclis enjoyers. You don't have to be doomed to try and deal with Wurzag or Kairos. You can come over here and play a little different if you wish. As I say, you'll still get to keep the land over here, but good luck keeping a hold of it with Kairos and Wurzag on your doorstep. But that's just his dilemma, so he's now got his new mechanic, Secrets of the White Tower, revolves around this currency, Scrolls of Knowledge, gained through battles and such. Overall, it feels like a very similar system to Balthazar Gelt's magic system, which I forget the name of, but you have these different tabs for sort of different laws of magic, different vibes, and you can do different actions off them. Again, kind of similar to Tyrion's thing, just revolving around the scrolls and the magic. You can get access to those Cataclysm spells, the same as Balthazar Gelt. So let's say I wanted to do this one, which instantly heals all the units in my army and gives us a physical resistance, which obviously I don't really need to do this right now because I'm right next to my settlement with no enemies around. But if there was an enemy, I can heal my army up, use those scrolls, and that's going to save us potentially a lot of trouble. So certainly an upgrade for Teclis. Like I say, not necessarily anything new though. We've kind of seen this with Balthazar Gelt. It's a fine system though, works great. Who knows, maybe it'll actually be able to make him stand up to Kairos and not just get wiped out by him. We'll see. But there we go, that's all your changes for the High Elf factions. What about Slaanesh? Well, not a lot. Nakari and his mechanics have stayed pretty much the same. An update to the tech tree though, that's of course coming alongside the DLC, so you got the 2 tabs. This one all about your campaign management, and the other all about buffing up your units and the army. And apparently there's changes to buildings as well, but honestly, without patch notes, I can't really tell you what exactly those all are. Maybe some units have been shifted around, but some updates for Slaanesh all the same. And of course, these updates will be free if you already have the factions. Even if you don't buy the DLC, you can still get essentially what will feel like new campaigns with Wulfric, Throg, Tyrion, and Teclis. That's the guy. But otherwise, there we go. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the future.